This time I need to take a look at my smoke alarms. It surprised me how many different things you need to research in order to figure out how to replace these and get them up to speed. First of all, is your house hardwired to power your smoke alarms? I need to figure out whether I'm going to get photoelectric or ionization alarms. I need to figure out whether I'm going to get the alarms that are interconnected or not, and that also has to do with your house wiring. And then finally, am I going to get the 10-year battery or the regular battery? So let's start with the easy decisions first. And to do that, I want to go out to this National Fire Protection Association and look at the metrics about what works and what doesn't work of those four choices. So the first one is, are you going to do a wired or not wired connection? And that's really simple. If your house supports it, you should absolutely do a wired connection. Now this is the statistics for, I think it's 1.4 million reported fires over the last 4 years. The number of actual deaths per 1,000 fires is 12 if you have no smoke detector at all. If you simply have any smoke alarm, like a battery-powered one, it goes down to 7.8, going from the average of 12 down to 3.7 if you've got a hardwired alarm. Definitely, if you can support it, you should get a hardwired alarm. Now, the second item is whether you have an interconnected alarm or not. Again, that's dependent on the wiring in your house, and it's very obvious that if you've got an interconnected alarm, when one alarm goes off, then all of them go off. You get half as many fatalities in that instance. The third easy decision is whether you're going to use the 10-year batteries, the lithium or the so-called worry-free batteries, or just the regular batteries. And that's real easy for me. I've read so many reviews from people who have purchased the 10-year batteries who say it's just a joy not to have to replace these every year or have that situation where you hear one smoke alarm chirping. I really like the idea of paying a little bit extra to get that ease of use, just to not even have to worry about it for 10 years. So I'm going to go with that. Now you're going to have to choose between the photoelectric alarms or the ionization alarms. And you'll read everywhere that one is good for one type of fire. The photoelectric is really good for detecting smoldering fires. And the ionization is really good for the hot flaming fires. And everybody kind of weasels out of making a good recommendation here. They all say the same thing. They say you can't predict what type of a fire you're going to have, so you should probably get both. Or here's one. They say get the dual sensor ones. Those are really, really expensive, by the way. If one is good for one type of fire and the other is good for another type of fire, what's the more common type of fire? And that's a really, really tough thing to figure out. So if you're interested, I'm going to go into nauseating detail about all of this later on, but here's the too long didn't read about it. I would use ionization when you can because they seem to be perfectly adequate for just about everything. Many vendors say, hey, it doesn't really matter. Either one's going to give you enough alarm, although there's a lot of debate about that. But in general, the smoldering alarms, which are the alarms that the photoelectric are really good at giving you even more time to respond to, those typically happen because of people abusing smoking materials, people falling asleep in bed or what have you. So it's generally in a bedroom. It's generally something where you want as much warning as possible in that bedroom, and photoelectric will give you that, even though it's going to be more expensive. So now there are some trade-offs when you do that. One of the trade-offs is, I'll be darned if I can figure out how to buy a hardwired photoelectric interconnected alarm with a battery backup that is more than just the typical battery, that is a 10-year battery backup. Oh no, you can do that. It's just going to cost you $120 per alarm. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm putting photoelectric in the bedrooms, and I'm going to give up the convenience of the 10-year battery backup, because to try to put that combination together is just outside my budget. I'm replacing these. This is the old Fire-X, which is apparently being made by Kitty now. And these have that background. As you can see, this is definitely hardwired. And if we take a look at what we got up there, you can tell that is hardwired. And I can also see because I've got 3 wires, I do have the wiring required to make these interconnected. Let me go ahead and activate this. There we go. Do a quick test. 3 seconds, should be 3 beeps. Time to take out the mounting plate on the old Firex and replace it with the new mounting plate. So I've already got the power turned off. Thankfully on my panel, the circuit breaker for the smoke detectors was labeled. So go ahead and take this out and put in the new. So that's the procedure. I just did that 5 more times. I have 6 alarms now. They're all interconnected and came about to $120. And let's just test it, make sure it's actually working. Nope, I didn't hold it long enough. Got to hold it until it beeps 3 times. You hear that? That was going all over the house. So they're all interconnected and all working. I noticed it was pretty easy to insert these into the hard wiring in a way where it actually wasn't getting power. You should take a look and make sure you see the green light. Okay, for any of you who really wanted to understand what was going on with the decision between photoelectric and ionization, let me just show you this, this wonderful document, an amazing document of weasel words from a variety of different institutional organizations like the United States Fire Administration, the International Association of Fire Chiefs, all of these different folks, National Association of State Fire Marshals, every single one of them, they're gathered on this one page here. It's linked in the description. They all say the same thing. The ionization is good for one type, the photoelectric is good for another type. You don't know which type you're going to have, so you might as well just buy both. Yeah, that really, thanks guys, really taking a stand there. So now the funny thing is, as so often happens, if you go to a different country and find out what they're recommending there, you get a completely different answer. So I went out to all the British sites, all of their government sites, their YouTubers. Just about everybody in Britain describes it this way. For the ionization smoke alarms, they recommend those for stairwells, landings, and offices. And for the photoelectric, which they call optical smoke alarms, they recommend those for bedrooms, lounges, hallways. They also have something they call heat alarms, which they recommend for kitchens. I didn't even see heat alarms mentioned once in any of the US sites. So there's that. I don't know why in Britain they are willing to take a stand, but they are. So that was very helpful. That pointed me towards, okay, let's see if I can find out. You know, it's since everybody and their brother in the US is too timid to say, do this or do that, let's see if we can just kind of derive from the statistics that they are willing to talk about. Let's see if we can derive a best practice. Everybody's saying you can't tell what type of alarm or fire you're going to have. Well, I kind of wonder about that. Doesn't somebody keep track of what type of fire? You know, there's 2 types of fires. There's flaming fires and there's smoldering fires. Which one occurs more often? Thankfully, there is, again, that's that NFPA that keeps track of those numbers. Cooking is the leading cause of fires. However, if you look at the leading cause of death, it's smoking materials. This is people falling asleep on their beds, in their couches, etc., with a cigarette. They almost always result in smoldering fires. So which is the type of smoke detector that works well with smoldering fires? Well, it's the photoelectric. So I think this is why the British, anyway, they say wholeheartly use the photoelectric in the bedroom for sure. And if you need any more proof, this is a quote from the 2006 version of a book. The book is called, it's a textbook, Building Construction for the Fire Service by Francis L. Brannigan. This textbook has been through 6 editions, most recent in 2019. So obviously this is a reputable source. Strongly recommends photoelectric detectors, which are best at detecting smoldering fires, the most common type of home fire. That's the key. Smoldering fires, the most common type of home fire. Now, why is it I have to go into a textbook written 15 years ago in order to find out that smoldering fires are the most common type of home fire? Thanks for nothing, all of you regulatory agencies, all you vendors. And the ironic thing is these guys are getting paid for that, right? That's their job. So thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. So I was just done with the whole discussion when I found out in some of the British sites that the British manufacturers are all simply discontinuing ionization alarms. They've described how this problem is just going to go away because everybody's moving to photoelectric. Now, we're not doing that in the U.S., and I have my suspicions why. And it's not because we're not aware of it. You can look at this. There's news magazine issues like here's on NBC News. This is from 2012. 2020, all these different local stations are always talking about how lives would be saved if we went to photoelectric in the bedroom instead of ionization. And if you just do a search for photoelectric versus ionization, one of the first sites you'll find is this law office. It seems to be specializing in the litigation of ionization lawsuits. So I think that's the answer. I think that there are too many constituencies that are going to be harmed if we actually bite the bullet and say, stop putting ionization in your bedroom. Yeah, that's my solution. So good luck with yours. An interesting data point from this site is they list the places where ionization alarms are banned for new construction. So that is a thing. If you can't do a hardwired smoke alarm, then there are battery-powered smoke detectors that run on the 10-year lithium batteries. And from what the statistics say about the failure of smoke detectors being caused so often by people forgetting to replace the batteries, that's probably a good, safe choice, even though it will be a little bit more expensive.